Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, thank you so much for taking the time to click on this video. Welcome. I hope you look around. Maybe you'll find some other things that you might like. Maybe subscribe if you are so inclined. To everyone that's been here before, hey guys, welcome back. You already know the vibes over here on this channel. So today, guys, I'm bringing you a video about, manifestation and the secret. Ooh. I know that there are hundreds, if not thousands, of videos on the internet right now about this. So this is just my take and my version of it. And maybe, sharing my account of it and some mistakes that I've made here and there and things that I've noticed that accelerate the use of this method when trying to manifest things with you will help you to, get some extra bits of information that maybe you hadn't thought of, from a perspective that I'm giving you today, that might help you along your manifestation journey. So let's get into it. So one of the things that's really important for me when I think about implementing the law of attraction or, when looking at the secret holistically is starting at a point where we try to understand our perception of reality through different vibrational frequencies and what exists in terms of that. So the dimension in which we live in, the third dimension, 3D, is really made up of a complex system and a complex network between matter, the ether, the elements, and if you will, you can perceive this network as a source of intelligence, an ancient intelligence that exists, that predates humans, what was in the very beginning. So it's quite important to realize and understand that everything holds a vibrational frequency. It has an energy signature. This bag, this leather bag, this wooden table, this log, this wax, everything, there's everything. And this is based on, the materials that it's made of, where was it found, maybe it forms a part of nature, or the molecular structure of it and the things that it's made of at some point does come from this larger network, right, of nature and matter and ether and elements, right? And although there is some scientific backing and scientific evidence to show that different elements do in fact hold different vibrational frequencies based on their compound structure, the molecular structure. I don't know the scientific terms, but I think you can kind of understand where I'm going with this. Even so, this is still largely analyzed and looked at and understood and discussed from a metaphysical point of view, which means that it loses its credibility to the vast majority of people who aren't really interested in looking into or understanding things from a metaphysical point of view, and rather would just like to see, rightfully so, pure, hard evidence of what it is that you are trying, the idea that you're trying to convey. But if you take the time to reconcile the two and put all of your biases aside, I'm sure that you will come to a reasonable conclusion about how these two work together and how sometimes they are actually the very same thing, just being expressed differently. So why does this matter? Why is it important to know this or even care about this if you've read the steps of law of attraction and you're convinced and you're quite sure at the stage that you are quite comfortable with the process that has been detailed and laid out for you, and now you're wanting to go and practice it. And simply put, the problem with this is that when you don't understand the background behind it, it can be difficult for you to energize the idea. So a common mistake that I see people making, and one that I've made too, is that you follow the steps of the law of attraction, but because you don't know the source or the energy source, what you need to plug into in order to switch on, the plug, or that's a South African thing we call the switcher plug, even though maybe that's not what it's called, but to turn the switch on. You don't know what it takes or what it means or how it's done. So you do these steps and it leads to nothing almost 100% of the time. And it's because you don't understand at a very fundamental level what charges this, where to get the electricity, where to get the source of power. And I'm going to tell you. So law of attraction talks a lot about visualizing and calling things in via meditation, visualization, and really feeling like spending time and setting time aside to feel what it would feel like, or what it would be like to have all the things that you're trying to call in. And that in itself is an effective way of plugging into the source, right? Of energizing the ideas to bring them in. But here comes the problem, is that we set aside, let's say 5 minutes, 10 minutes, even if it's 30 seconds, whatever it is, you set it aside, you go and sit on your meditation mat outside or wherever you do this, and for that 5 minutes, you are there energizing and plugging into the source. And the source is really your emotion. It's really the vibration and the frequency that you cast out, of desire, of gratitude, that lands somewhere and plugs in somewhere into the network, the complex network of energies and frequencies, the ancient network that I spoke about earlier, right? So once you get up, from your mat or whatever, wherever you were doing your visualization rituals, you go into your day-to-day routine, your daily life, and you unplug it and you forget about it. And because of the rush of everyday life and the complexities and dynamics of human life, day-to-day life, you run into lots of things that kind of sever the cord to your manifestation. So integration is really, really, really important. So how would you go about doing that? Now it's time to get to work. So, when you take a metaphysical approach to things and you are kind of known as someone who has this approach to life, or someone that advocates for this approach to life, people always make assumptions about how, you don't really focus or even look at the practical side of things, which is incorrect, because none of the spiritual concepts or let's say metaphysical practices work without the practical side. It will all be really a waste of time and quite just silly, really, to think that you can imagine things into being. Yes, that is the starting point, but you do move beyond that and you move into the phase of action. This is when you chop wood. This is when you roll up your sleeves and you get to work. So after having done your integration of your visualizations, right? You know what you want, you know why you want it, and you are practicing your integration methods into your day-to-day so that you consistently hold that space of desire and gratitude and da-da-da-da-da. So what now? Okay, you're holding the space. Now you need to get to work, upskill, all of the good stuff, practice your craft, all of that good stuff. I don't have to tell you what it is to work. Depending on what you're trying to manifest, you need to start working towards it in the physical world. If anyone ever told you that manifesting via the law of attraction, via the secret, is going to be easy, that's when you call bullshit, and you should know that that person is not really a credible source of enlightenment or information, because the truth is there are no shortcuts. Just as in the same way that you can't fake a frequency and you can't fake a vibrational frequency. Let me just stop there and explain that for a second. So earlier I talked about plugging into the network. So this network is an intelligence made out of nature, God, which is the same thing. Most of us, when we think of praying for things, and we think of bringing things in and asking God for things, we think of asking a being in the sky, hi, can you please give me a da 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 da, and that is completely off. It's completely wrong. It's what we've been taught, so no one can really blame us, but that's not how it works. Okay, when you ask with your emotion, you ask with your visualization, you ask with your gratitude, by plugging into the greater network of God. That is the ancient network. God, for me, is not a man in the sky. God is the intelligence that works through our realities, our environments, moving through space and time and matter. So God is the intelligence of nature. The intelligence of the telepathic communications and assistance that we have from those that have lived before us, their stories, etc., etc., etc. So when you call upon this intelligence, you need to pay your dues. You need to offer something in order for this intelligence to assist you and bring back to you what you are calling and what you are pushing forth with your emotion, with your with the strength of your life force, your key, all of those things. So one of the things, the ways in which you contribute to this cycle of working with God, is by doing your part in the physical, and that means putting in the work. So this is not going to be easy. It's going to be grueling. This is where you do the unsexy work, the unpretty work, the hours and hours and hours of whatever it is that you are wanting to bring in. So a tip that I have is to consider and think of your ancestors, your lineage, your bloodline as an extension of God, and therefore yourself as an extension of God, therefore part of the network of God, right? Across time, space, dimension. That means living here or transitioned and living elsewhere, or what we consider to be dead. It's all part of the electricity, part of the source, the source of energy you can plug into in order to boost and accelerate your manifestations. So how would you do this? You would pay homage to the life and times of your ancestors, their struggles, their victories, their achievements, what it is they had tried to achieve, their journey as it now exists and manifests through you as a member holding now the torch of the bloodline. This is one of the strongest plug South Africanism. This is the strongest plug energy source that you can plug into, because it holds so much energy based on traumas, victories, the many different lives and stories that have happened and taken place before you and for you to be here. So when you pay homage to memories of your ancestors, of things that you know that they held, dear, anything really, that speaks to them, anything that speaks to them. This is a surefire way, a quick way to boost and accelerate your manifestations, right? I spoke about this on my Instagram. I wrote a story, and if you didn't catch it, I was talking about how when I was watching the program Chef's Table on Netflix, one thing I really found interesting and kind of was an aha moment for me was noticing the two plugs and sources of energy that a great number of the chefs used, whether knowingly or unknowingly. This is just what I realized, and kind of ding, a light bulb moment happened for me while watching that show recently. And it's that when their creations and the things that they were manifesting were infused with and modeled after, number one, nature, the network, right? Compounded by a memory from an ancestor, a loved one, whether crossed over or living, which now, is two sources of powerful energy merged and working hand in hand with now the creator God, an actualization of themselves. As the explanation that I put forward earlier of God, even the Bible says this: God creates man or created man in his image. So when you consider that, and you consider your lineage to be of God, and you consider yourself to be of God, and God, the creator, emerges in you, when you put those three things together, right, your manifestations really are accelerated in intensity, even if it takes a longer time, right? And I noticed that the chefs were really working with the land around them, the intelligence of nature that existed around them, and combining these to create a very, very powerful force. And then what really blew my mind was realizing how when you consider that process, it's easy to see, based on what I've just explained now, where the energy sources were, right? But you can always compound it and add another if you are smart and you understand how this intelligence works. So, excuse me. So, a chef makes this beautiful dish. This is my grandmother's recipe. And it's made with, the most beautiful tomatoes that are growing in this area. So, I'm taking that life, but also giving that life back, because I'm replenishing the land also as much as I'm taking from it. And here's my grandmother now, and my whole lineage behind me, and that intelligence, and that whole bloodline rooting for me, because they want the healing of their bloodline too. And then now, I take it, me, the creator God, I take it, I create something beautiful infused with this, right? And I serve it at my restaurant. And what happens? The feelings and, the emotions, the euphoria of people tasting and loving my dish. Do you see where it's going? They are now an added source of energy, a very powerful source of energy. If you consider how many people walk in and out of your restaurant as a chef, if it's become successful, which it probably will if you're doing it this way. So now you have an extra source of energy that just, it's generating energy on its own now. You've planted it there, and it's just it's the gift that keeps on giving now, because you've set it up correctly. Okay, so I think that's all I have for you today, guys. I think I actually spoke quite a lot more than I thought I was gonna speak. I felt like this would maybe be a under 10-minute video, but I feel like I've been talking for a long ass time, so it might not be. But anyway, I hope you got something from this, guys. Thank you so much for taking the time to click on this video, and I will see you in the next one.